What's up, Eagles Nation? The reaction video. As many of you have already made. I wanted to make this last night, and I was really in the middle of it, and then things just kept happening. I just couldn't, finish the video I was trying to make. So I figured, no, let me just start fresh, the next day. Yeah. So as we know, Eagles go down in Miami 37-31 against the 2-win Dolphin team, now 3-win Dolphin team. And like I said, it's the cautionary tale. It's like I said in the pre-video, the pregame vid, that these are the type of games that worry me because, most of the, not most of the time, but, there have been times in the past where this time of year, crunch time, every game is amplified. I've seen the Eagles lose to teams they have no business losing to. And one of the things that made that Super Bowl season so special, not just, with the Super Bowl, I know that's the obvious reason, but the other thing that made that season so special is that the Eagles, took care of the teams that they had to take care of. All the teams that the Eagles were favored to win against, not only did they win, but they manhandled. I mean, it was like they were just running those teams out of the building. It's like when those teams got off the bus, the game was over, basically. And that's an anomaly for the Eagles because every year they lose games that were like, how the hell did they lose this game against this other team? And yeah, the old adage is any given Sunday and everything. I get that. But with the Eagles, they just make it an art form because every year they lose games that there's no way they should be losing, but they find a way to lose them. And that's the thing that concerned me going into this stretch, the underbelly of the schedule, right? You're going against 3 straight opponents, albeit 2 of them division opponents, who have 2 wins respectively. And, oh yeah, Dallas loses on Thanksgiving. So now if the Eagles would have won against a bad Dolphins team, you're tied in the division with Dallas, and, instead of now you're still a game back. Or a game and a half, or whatever it is at this point. But you're still behind them, So of course, right now we're 5-7. Now, if the Eagles win out, including the big Week 16 game, well, they're all big games now. But the Week 16 game against Dallas, obviously, the Eagles win the division. They go to 9-7, get into the playoffs. You can say they sneak in, whatever it is as a division champion. And, at that point you're on a roll. Anything can happen. But it's just this team is just so inconsistent week after week. The past few weeks, obviously, the 2 losses at home to New England and Seattle, you had the offense playing piss poor, and the defense was playing good, keeping you in. I know Seattle missed some plays, but still, keeping them in the game, a chance to win. As I said before, after those 2 games, and deja vu, here we are again. After those 2 games, it's it's a winnable game. It was a winnable game that they let get away, that they didn't find a way to win. And here we are again this week. Yesterday in Miami, they're in a dogfight with a team that they really shouldn't be, but for whatever reason, they're just. The offense, for the most part, showed up. Yeah, they made some mistakes in the second half, but you put 31 on the board against Miami. That should be enough, more than enough, to beat that team. I mean, I know it didn't look like it yesterday, but their offense isn't that good. Their defense certainly isn't that good. The defense of the Dolphins is one of the worst in pass rush. They're 31st in the league against the run. And here we are again in another game where Doug and the coaching staff decides we don't want to run the ball. We don't want to establish a run game. We're just going to pass. And look, they put 31 points on the board, but it could have been more. And it could have been a game that they controlled from start to finish. But Doug just loves getting pass happy. He forgets that he has running backs. And, I've said this before, Miles Sanders, I know he's a rookie, but he's their most explosive weapon on offense. And they don't use him enough. They don't use him enough in the running game. They don't use him enough in the passing game. He's the only guy with speed on the team on offense, and not for nothing, but this team was running at close to a 5 yard a clip carry when they did decide to run the ball. And in the second half, basically they just abandoned the run, and we're just going to pass, 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 pass. Even when they had the lead, when they were up, 8 points or whatever it was, and it's like they just come out throwing the ball. So pass, 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 pass. It's ridiculous. And then of course what happens? They have to punt, and then you get in that situation where Zach Ertz drops a catchable pass, and Jake Elliott misses a 48-yard field goal. And then it's little things, and it just adds up, But that being said, the least on my pecking order for this game, for this loss, is Carson Wentz. He still, with that, did enough to get the win. The problem this week, unfortunately, and I don't know if it was too much Thanksgiving dinner or tryptophan or just figured they would take a vacation in Miami. I don't know what it is, but the defense didn't show up at all after the first quarter. They get an interception early, turns into a Miles Sanders touchdown. And then, they're getting to Fitzpatrick. They're sacking him. They're knocking him down. I mean, it looked like what it should have looked like. This defensive line imposing their will on a weak Dolphins offensive line. Getting lots of pressure on Fitzpatrick, making him uncomfortable. He has to get rid of the ball quicker than he wants to. And then it's like, they're having their way. And then what happened? One touchdown. One touchdown pretty much changed the complexion of the game. The Parker touchdown. The first points for the Dolphins. Basically a ball that was just thrown up in the air, and Parker goes up and stop me if you heard this one before. Ronald Darby gets beat on a play, and then Parker's going in for a touchdown. It's a great play by him, but again, poor coverage, and the guy goes in for a touchdown, and that basically changed the snap at that point, because then the Dolphins start getting a little confidence in the offense. And then on the next series, here comes just another lob ball by Fitzpatrick that Parker comes down with again. I mean, when's the last time we've seen an Eagle receiver make a play like that? It sucks. It sucks. And Parker has a career day against the Eagles. And Fitzpatrick, yet again, the beard man, has another big game against the Eagles. I keep hoping this guy will just retire because I'm tired of seeing him. Every time the Eagles play him, he's trouble. Every time. He's not that good at quarterback. But every time he plays the Eagles, he puts up numbers. It's unbelievable. It really is. So I'm guessing that he'll hang around for another year next year, wind up with a team, and it would be on the Eagles' schedule, and they'll start him. I mean, not for nothing. Maybe an NFC East opponent. Not that I want to say anything for them, but maybe the Redskins or Giants or something should pick him up as the backup. And how in baseball they have like the situational pitcher that will come in just for lefties or righties or just a batter here and there. Just, the week that the Redskins or Giants play the Eagles, they should just put Fitzpatrick in the game and just say whoever they're starting, Jones or whoever, is in there for the Giants or the Redskins, just say, you just make up an injury and just put Fitzpatrick in there for the game. Because he always does well against the Eagles for whatever reason. I don't get it. I mean, he looks like a deranged, mall Santa. I don't understand. I don't even know why he wears the chin strap. It doesn't even go to his chin. It's on his beard. It looks like a bird nest. But I honestly, I don't get it. Probably a nice guy, Harvard man, whatever, but I'm tired of seeing him. And they even showed, all the pictures of him over the years playing against the Eagles. The Eagles have now faced him 8 times, and every time he's been on a different team. Every time. Even the first picture of him, I even forgot they played him when he was with the St. Louis Rams many years ago, and he had peach fuzz on his face. He looked like me right now. This is before he put the beard on. This is unbelievable. All these different teams. So yet again, the Eagles defense, they kind of revert to what they were at the start of the season, not getting enough pass rush after the first quarter. And again, look, it was a poor game by Jim Schwartz. It was a poor game by this defense. The scheme, I don't think, was a good scheme. You're blitzing that much against a veteran quarterback who gets rid of the ball quickly. And you're leaving the weakness of this defense, the secondary on islands here. You're not even trying to double at some point Parker, after he's beating you time after time again, or Jazeki, I don't understand why these guys are just running free the whole game. Well, I do, because it was stupid play calling by Jim Schwartz, and it's not adjusting. It's not making changes when it's not working, and we're going to keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, hoping that the pass rush, and I don't know what the hell happened to the pass rush after the first quarter. The Dolphins' offensive line is horrible. And they should have been able to get more pressure on Fitzmagic. God, I hope he retires. But there's just certain players in the league. After a while, you're like, tired of losing this guy. Just retire, damn it. You're old. Just go away. Entertain kids at the holiday time in a mall. You can be like Bad Santa or something, just lean back. I bring the Eagles. What do you want for Christmas? He better not be a mall Santa in this area, I'll tell you that. But anyhow, sometimes all you can do is laugh. Just when you're a fan of a team and there's a game and you just get this feeling in the back of your head like this isn't going to go well. There's no way this team should lose this game, but damn it, somehow they're going to find a way to lose. I start getting this feeling during the game, all right? And keep in mind, the Eagles are up by 2 touchdowns going into early in the second half. And you would think that would have been enough to start to put away the Dolphins. But what happens? Very next drive for Miami, touchdown. Right back in the game. Now they missed the extra point, so it's an 8-point game. But still, it's like you have the foot on the throat. You got to press it down. 5 straight possessions for the Dolphins. We're not talking about this year's Ravens. We're not talking about the 49ers or the Chiefs or any of these other teams. The Dolphins. 5 straight possessions with a touchdown. Now, there was a missed extra point. There was a missed 2-point conversion. In these stretch of touchdowns on all of a sudden, the most potent offense in the league, you had this Harry High School play on 4th down where you had the placeholder or the punter throwing to the kicker in the end zone on a trick play, which, by the way, for those of you counting at home, that's 3 straight weeks a team has scored a touchdown trick. If I'm an offensive coordinator going up against the Eagles, and I hate to say this, I would just design all these trick plays because this team can't defend a trick play worth a damn. And it's 4th down, and again, you get a stop there. No, you're just going to leave the kicker wide open because no one thinks to look back. Why are you all rushing against the guy, who, if it was the punter, I forget if it was the placeholder, the punter, whoever it was, with the ball, he's not going to score. Don't send the whole freaking defense against him. I know you go for the ball, but when you do that, you're leaving someone open. So, and I know it's just one of those crazy plays. It just happened. People said today they should have called a timeout. I don't even know what good that would have done, but okay. It's just nutsy play. And the Dolphins are going to do this because when you're a 2-win team, these are the type of things you're going to do. And the Eagles knew this going into this game. Doug Peterson today, we knew they were going to run these plays and go for it on 4th down, everything okay. You did you? You didn't know how to defend it? Come on. See, this is about the preparation. This is where it's just a failure. That's why this season so far has been a failure in 5-7. I know there's been injuries, there's been inconsistent play, but the preparation of this team week to week, it's just piss poor. And I don't care who you're playing. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready for who you're playing for your opponent. This is why teams that win, it's why they win so much. They're ready for whoever they're playing. It's like the Eagles just figured, they can just show up to the stadium and win the game. It doesn't work that way. Look, the Dolphins, not for nothing, and they're not a good team. But not for nothing, but they have been playing better of late. It's not the same Dolphin team that they were early in the season. It's a team that's playing with some pride and with some, attitude. They're playing with confidence, particularly when you let them, do whatever it is they want to do on offense. And all the mistakes, the Eagles yesterday at times played like the 2-win team. The Dolphins were playing like the team wanting to make the playoffs. The Eagles were out there playing like a 2-win team. All the mental mistakes, the penalties, and I know some of the penalties are a little garbage, okay, but that's what happens when you play. When you have a 5-win team playing a 2-win team, you're going to get the C group at referees. So of course it's not going to be greatly officiated. But at the same time, it's self-inflicted wounds on offense. 3rd down, false starts. 4th down, false starts. Right? Zach Ertz dropping an easy catch. Zach Ertz later in the game dropping a touchdown. Elliott missing a field goal for the first time this season after getting a contract extension. And he should have gotten the extension, but still. But the biggest thing for me has been the coaching. And yesterday it was bad all around. All sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball. Horrible coaching. Terrible job. Terrible. And Eagle fans, we can complain until we're blue in the face about Frank Reich not being here. And I've said this before, and I'll continue to say this. That is the downfall of winning. When you win a championship or even get to a Super Bowl or even get to a conference title game, those assistants on those teams get plucked. They go to other teams. And it wasn't like after winning the Super Bowl, the Eagles were going to let go of Doug Peterson. Okay, that wasn't going to happen. So people say, well, they should have just kept Frank Reich and he could have been the coach. And no, you're not going to get rid of Doug Peterson after winning the franchise's first ever Super Bowl. That's not going to happen. But some of his confidant, on his staff, some of his confidants and assistant coaches, they're going to go. Other teams are going to take him. Unfortunately, the Colts had their man, right from the Patriots, blanking on his name, the OC, and he pulled out at the he pulled back at the, yeah, he did that too with the Colts. But no, he got by the way, these vids aren't for kids, okay? Not that I'm a very vile man. But no, so sometimes I gotta watch what I say at work too, because those guys at work, you say the wrong thing there, and they. Sometimes you think you're not saying anything bad, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then you get the giggles and the chuckles, and I'm like, oh damn, I said something, didn't I? I'm not meaning to, I'm not thinking of it in those terms, but yeah, that's what she said. But no, I know on YouTube now you have to put that as a disclaimer in the app, the creation app, and I do that. I've actually went back, and I've done that in all of my videos. I put not for kids, and honestly, I don't know. I don't believe that these videos are like something children. I don't know. There's nothing real. I'm not EDP. I don't do all that crazy stuff, but at the same time, I just to protect myself, and I just put all my vids as not for children because there's so many gray areas, there's so many rules and regulations. It's like I don't know. I don't want to, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything here, or, get in trouble. So I just put them all across the board, not for kids. So, but I'm going to verbally say that here, not for kids, okay? Frustrated Eagle fan, but no. As I was saying before I got sidetracked, because of that, Frank Reich got the job as the head coach with the Colts, and he earned it. He earned it. Well, the problem is, and this is where it falls on the Eagles' brain trust, right? Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman, all the powers that be, they didn't do it good enough at replacing the coaches that they lost and the confidants that they lost for Doug Peterson. And the thing that bugs me a bit is that they basically stayed in-house. Sometimes you do have to get outside voices. You know, even after winning a championship, it doesn't hurt to get some other guys in here who may have helped other teams win or be a if anything be on the outside looking in, just to have another voice. And the thing about it is, I mean, Carson Walsh has done a horrible job. Groh has done a horrible job as the OC, and it's just the voices in Doug's ear just aren't as good as it used to be with DeFilippo and Frank Reich. And it's unfortunate. I mean, you saw it the last 2 years, and they played a little better last year. And the Folesian Society, I understand they want Nicky Six back. He is also one of those guys that just seems he only works in one place because he gets benched yesterday during the game from Minshew in Jacksonville. Nick has not succeeded with anywhere near the success on any other team that he is with the Eagles. And it's pretty obvious at this point. I mean, this is the only it seems this is where he would have his success. He doesn't have it anywhere else. He's like a completely different quarterback everywhere else. But nothing against Nick Foles. Absolutely nothing against Nick Foles. He'll always have a place at the table, helped us win a championship, first ever Super Bowl, and it will always be remembered. But Carson Wentz is the guy. He is the quarterback. He's the franchise quarterback. He should be the franchise quarterback. The problem, and Carson's not without blame. He's made mistakes, okay? But for the most part, when you look at the tools in the chest for him, I mean, you look at this wide, and I'm not trying to make. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses up for him, but if you look at these wide receivers that he has right now, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I know they played a little better yesterday. Alshon was there; he played a bit better, but it's just not there. Guys dropping passes in key moments. You know, you can go back earlier in the season. The alligator arms dropped in Atlanta that would have won a game. Arcega-Whiteside, I know he's a rookie, but drops a pass in Detroit in the end zone that would have won the game. Tough catch to make, but you got to make it if you're going to be an NFL receiver. Aguilar again, weeks ago, what was it against the Patriots, the drop that he had in the end zone, which would have... I believe it would have tied the game, I believe, at the time, or whatever it was. Just a lot of plays that should have been made, and a better receiving core makes those plays. And I see Carson when he was at his best in 2017, and the thing they had then was they had Torrey Smith. And I know that Torrey Smith wasn't what he used to be, but he was that vertical threat. He was a deep threat. And it opened everything else up for the offense. I mean, was he a Deshaun Jackson or just another just terrific all-time receiver? No, but he was quick, and he made good plays on the ball when it was in the air. He drew penalties. He was really good at that, and he made some big plays for the team that season, including in the Super Bowl. So he was a big weapon, and having that threat as a vertical receiver, a speed receiver, that was big for this offense. It was big for Carson. First game of the season this year against Washington. What did Carson do? 2 big bomb touchdowns to Deshaun Jackson. It opened everything up for the offense. Unfortunately, Carson's had about a seat when he was healthy, and then he got hurt against the Rams late in the year, but his 2017 would have been MVP season, and one game in his career he's had a vertical receiver. He's had a deep threat receiver, I should say, in his whole career. And I know you have to make the best of what you have, and he's tried. I mean, what can you do? Zach Ertz drops a big pass yesterday. Zach Ertz drops another one in the end zone yesterday. And I know Carson has missed some throws. He's been high on some throws. But you look around, watch any game in the league. They're missed throws all the time. We all focus on Carson Wentz because he's our guy. And this is the quarterback that we watch every week. But, I'm speaking as someone that watches a lot of football, watches a lot of other games, and, quarterbacks miss throws all the time. It's unfortunate, but it happens. No one's perfect. I mean, Russell Wilson in the game against the Eagles, and this guy could be an MVP this season, he missed his tight end about 10 feet over his head, wide open in the back of the end zone. And he didn't have a very good game, but it happens. Now, you can say, okay, well, he can get away with it because he won a Super Bowl. He was in 2 Super Bowls. He's a league MVP candidate. He's had some terrific years, 8 years, with the Seahawks and being one of the faces of the league and everything. I mean, like I said, he's my favorite non-Eagle. But it just goes to show that all quarterbacks are going to miss throws. It happens. And I think we have to give this guy more of a chance. And I know he had 2 awful games the last 2 weeks. Hey, there's no denying he looked horrible against the Patriots and against the Seahawks. But he looked pretty good against the Dolphins. He missed some plays, but he also made some plays. And it wasn't his fault they lost the game. The defense couldn't cover anybody. But that falls on Carson, I guess, because he's out there playing defense. And it comes with the position. The quarterback is going to be the most focused player on the field because it's the quarterback. It comes with the position. And no matter what fan you are of what team, you're always going to focus on what the quarterback is doing or what the quarterback isn't doing. And it's obviously here. The quarterback's been a big thing in Philly for many years. I remember, the years with Donovan, and obviously before that, Randall and Jaworski, and it's the position that the Eagle fans have always had this target with. And of course, look, Nick Foles wins a Super Bowl, comes in relief, basically wins a Super Bowl. So of course, he's going to be held at that standard, and it's unfortunate and unfair, for Carson because of that. And he got hurt. What can you do? Backup came in, won a Super Bowl. Everyone always loves the backup. The backup quarterback is like the best position to have because everyone loves them. But when you win a Super Bowl, and he's had some big games over his years with the Eagles, there's no denying that. But at the same time, I think they made the right decision to move on from Foles and keep Wentz. And has he made mistakes this season? Yeah. But at the same time, I still look at all the tools in the chest, and it's like, and when the season started, we all were like, really praising this offense and what they could be because you got Deshaun Jackson back, you got, the collection of running backs and the other receivers just going, oh, look how explosive this offense can be. It opens it up, and of course, what happens? You have injuries, you have inconsistency. And unfortunately, everything we were dreaming about in the preseason and after the Redskins game in week 1, it just fell apart. And it's unfortunate. But again, I want to judge this guy not just with what he's doing now, but I want to see what Carson Wentz is with real talent around him, in the wide receiver position. And I think that's a detriment to Howie Roseman and how they drafted. Did not put a lot of emphasis on speed at the wide receiver position. Arcega-Whiteside is a plotting, possession receiver who is having trouble picking up the offense. Basically Alshon Jeffrey's replacement, for whenever Alshon is gone. They had chances. They had chances to draft speed receivers in this draft and previous drafts, and they didn't do it. And, this the powers that be, Howie and the powers that be, are not good at assessing the talent at the wide receiver position or the cornerback position. I would even say linebacker. When's the last time we've had an impactful player in any of those 3 positions? I think they're good when it comes to the interior lines, the offensive and defensive lines. But quarterback, I think, and, I'll say, okay, to me, I think Carson is a good enough quarterback. I just think you need to give him more time and more weapons. Real weapons, speed weapons at the wide receiver position, and I think that's when you see the best of him. I also think that they're not using all of his talents. They should be rolling him out more. The one touchdown he threw to Arcega-Whiteside yesterday, he was rolling out. He's a mobile quarterback, and I think at times, and maybe Carson's it's in his head too, but at times they keep him in the pocket too much, and it leads to trouble. He's fumbled the ball, he gets sacked, He holds on to the now he does hold on to the ball too long. He's got to get rid of the ball. That's something that he's got to get better at, absolutely. And I do think I do think he will. And I do think in part there's just a non-trust factor there with those wide receivers. The other thing I think that's hurting him is that I think they're just putting way too much on him and on his plate in the unbalanced offense that they have with not running the ball more. The strength of this team, with all due respect to Carson, the strength of this team is the offensive line, the way they run block. This is one of the best run blocking offensive lines because they're physical, they're athletic. They get at it at the point of attack. They block downfield. This is one of their strengths, and this coaching staff is not using it near enough. And I know Jordan Howard's been out the past few weeks, but you still have Miles Sanders. Jay Ajayi probably is shot at this point. Boston Scott, we'll see, but you still have an explosive weapon in my mind with Miles Sanders that they're just not using enough, and I don't know why. I don't know if they just don't trust him. I don't know. I cannot tell you why they're not using this man more when he could be a difference maker on this offense. I mean, again, yesterday they're running the ball when they did decide to run the ball at near 5 yards a clip. And Miles Sanders is a home run hitter, like we saw in Buffalo. Look, Buffalo was the last time this team put a complete game together. And it's the last time this offense has looked as good as it could look because they were running the ball. They had that balanced offense. And what happened? Early in the second half, you had Miles Sanders break one for a touchdown, longest touchdown of the season in his career. And it's because they decided to run the ball. They're opening things up. And Carson had a good game in that one. And not, hey, Buffalo doesn't look like a bad team, right? That was a big win. And they beat the Packers earlier in the season in Green Bay, running the ball, establishing a running game, balanced offense. Another good game for Carson. And he has been at his best this season when they have had that balanced on offense. It's the same receivers. It's the same receivers out there. But why are they making plays? Why are they open? Because the defense has to honor the run. When the defense doesn't have to worry about the running game, it makes it much more easier to defend these weaker receivers. Now, guys still have to make play. Hey, look, they're paid money. They still have to make plays. Unfortunately, they just don't have the speed or the ability to get away from tackles to make the plays that you see other teams make routinely in this league. It's the worst receiving corps in the league right now with the injury to Deshaun Jackson. The fact they don't have speed, and they don't make plays on the ball when it's in the air for whatever reason. Not as much as they could. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey used to do it all the time, not anymore. I mean, he looks like a 60-year-old man out there. I know he's battling with injuries and everything. He's 29. He looks like he's 60 out there, hobbling around. No speed, and doesn't go up and get the ball as much as he used to. Injuries and wear and tear have been part of the reason, but it's just, it certainly hasn't been a great year for him. He did have a good game yesterday, but overall, it just hasn't been a great year for Alshon. And we know about it, Nelson Alligator arms. I mean, Ward looks like he could be a nice receiver, but he's raw, off the practice squad. But, and Hollins just wants to play special teams. See, this is what we deal with here. Again, I didn't really want to make this video about Carson. The disappointment for this video, for me, was how the defense was playing. Yeah, the offense, the second half wasn't as good, but still, 31 points against the Dolphins should have won. Other teams score 31 against the Dolphins, and that's a win because their defense stops the Dolphins. And they're not that good. And the Eagles' defense made them look good. And I don't want to go back and say, oh, it's the old I told you so. I told you so, right? Minkah Fitzpatrick. Jalen Ramsey. And of the two, between Fitzpatrick and Ramsey, Fitzpatrick was the get. Because he was still under contract. He's young. You could have had him for a few years before really having to re-sign him. Where Ramsey, yeah, you would have had to give up more to get him, and then you would have to you would have had to give that man the money this offseason. You wouldn't have had to do that with Fitzpatrick. Now the Eagles are good at retaining guys and extending contracts when need be. They just did it last week for 3 guys, right? For Lane Johnson, for Brandon Brooks, and for Elliott. But Fitzpatrick, I mean, that was the move right there. That was the move. And there's rumors that, the Dolphins wanted to trade him to the Steelers because they thought they would get a better first-round pick. Well, that's where you got to sweeten the pot a little bit. Give him something else, not just a first-round pick. Throw a second round in there. Do something that would guarantee you to get this man, because he was worth it, Fitzpatrick. Look at the difference he's made on Pittsburgh. And you talk about a team with offensive problems. Make no mistake, the Steelers are winning games because of their defense. And when they got Minkah Fitzpatrick there, that defense got that much better. You see how they were without him and when they got him. Not a completely different defense, much better. And they're winning games because of they're on their third-string quarterback, and they're winning games. And again, it falls on Howie. That was a mistake. It was an oversight. Because the corners that they're trusting, the Jalen Mills and the Ronald Darby's that they have are just not good enough. They're just not good enough. And a game like yesterday showed it. I know the defense played better in recent weeks. Certainly from where they were early in the season. And getting guys back healthy has helped. But then yesterday happens. And one of the biggest problems for them yesterday was the secondary. Now, if Fitzpatrick, the former Dolphin, was on the team, I don't think Parker's going off like that. I don't think Fitzmagic has that type of game. And again, that's an oversight on Howie. That's Howie believing in his guys a little too much. Sometimes that's the curse of winning. We saw this with the Phillies back in 2008. You get attached to guys. You keep guys a little too long. And I get it. It's the first time the organization wins a championship, and you want to be extra uber loyal to these guys and veteran guys who probably shouldn't be here. The unfortunateness with sports is it is a cutthroat business. Guys get released, guys get cut, whatever, traded. It's cutthroat. I only use this because who else can you use as the example, right? It is the team that's a dynasty, that the only dynasty going right now in football. The Patriots do it all the time. The only person they didn't do it to was Tom Brady. To win, you have to be willing to get rid of players after a certain age. You can't just be loyal and over loyal to guys. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for any team. You got to move on from players. You got to replenish. Now the Patriots don't draft overly well, and they never have high draft picks to get the top of the top players in the drafts. They do just enough to get by, but they have that eye for the free agents, right? Guys that teams cut, and whatnot, discard. The Patriots will scoop them up, and they'll come into the New England machine, and they'll play because they have that system, and they have one of the all-time great coaches, So it is one of the great defensive masterminds there's ever been. So particularly on the defensive side of the ball, they're able to get these guys, and they fit in, right? Well, the Patriots now this season, the difference is on offense, and they're certainly not doing the things they used to do. It's almost like the Patriots and Eagles are kind of similar when you look at the offenses. There's just no burners. There's no deep threat because they got rid of them. In the Eagles' case, because ours got hurt. And you see the difference. Even the GOAT, Tom Brady, has looked very marginal this season because there's no receivers getting open. How many years have we watched the Patriots play, and they always have those guys in the slot that just get open, right? Or Gronk, or insert another player here. Always guys getting open, right? Because they could. And now you see them this year, and it's a completely different story. We just saw them a couple weeks ago, and that offense looks like a shell of what they used to be. There are no playmakers besides maybe Julian Edelman on that side of the ball, and it's completely different. Will the Patriots get back to the Super Bowl? I'm not going to put anything past them because they're still the Patriots, but I don't think so. I don't think this year is going to be it. And unless they get playmakers after this season, they're going to be in trouble. Because, look, Tom's not getting any younger. Finally, that age might be catching up to him. But at the same time, you see the difference. And you see that with the Eagles. No burners, no young talent at the wide receiver position, making plays week to week, as you see on other teams. And again, it's a detriment to the front office and what they haven't been able to do. And they haven't drafted well over the years at the wide receiver position, and it's hurting them right now. And unless it changes, it's going to continue to hurt them because you can only do so much in free agency. The great players don't just fall. I know this season you had, what you had with Antonio Brown and that fiasco, but that's a rarity. That type of thing doesn't happen every season. So this is where you have to find those guys, those hidden gems, whether it's in the draft or whether it's from other teams' practice squads or maybe a guy they release or you make a trade, and this is where you need your front office to keep feeding that machine. And unfortunately, Howie Roseman, and I've said this about this season, it's the motto for this season so far has been 2019-2020 Eagles dropping the ball. And it's been dropping the ball literally and figuratively all season long. The mistakes on the field, the mistakes with the coaching staff, the mistakes with the front office, not being aggressive enough to go after certain players that they should have gone after. Making mistakes left and right and just dropping the ball left and right. And unfortunately in Miami, yesterday, yet again, the team dropped the ball. Ultimately, could they still make the playoffs? Could they still win the division and make a run? Hey, I've seen the team do it before. I'm not going to put it past them that they can't. But to go on a run, that means you got to win a game. And we haven't won a game in the last 3 weeks. The last time the Eagles won a game was about a month ago, before the bye week against Chicago at home. It's the last time this team won a game. 2 straight home wins and now 2 straight home losses and now the loss in Miami against a 2-win Dolphin team, which is the low part of the season. This yesterday was absolutely the low point of the season, losing that game. Now they have to pick themselves up. They have to find a way to win on Monday night against the Giants, a team they've owned in recent years. But again, can they put it together on both sides of the ball? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since Buffalo. Over a month ago. And I don't know if this is something you just turn on. I don't know if this is something where this coaching staff, the light goes on and they instantly get better. I don't know if it's something where the players on the field instantly get better. And I'm as big an Eagle fan as you're going to find, and I can't say with a straight face that, I believe this team's going to win 4 straight games. And all 4 within divisional opponents. And even though those 2 of those 3 teams have nothing to play for right now besides draft picks, hey, they want to end your season. You don't think the Giants don't want to end the Eagles season or the Redskins? The Redskins are playing a little better of late. I don't think that's a gimme game. I don't think any game is a gimme game at this point after watching that yesterday. That was supposed to be a gimme game. But I told you I was worried about it. I was worried about this stretch because every time it just seems to be like clockwork every year. When it's a meaningful game against a bad team, at somewhere down the road, the Eagles are going to slip up. It's like something they just know how to do. And yesterday we saw it. Damn it. But you know what? As a fan, all I can do is watch the games. I have nothing to do with what they do or what the front office does or what the coaching staff do or don't. All I can do is watch these games and make my long videos here on YouTube because of it. But that's what season a fan is. That's what being a fan is, and that's why I make these vids. That's why I do the series, to bring you all in on what it is to be a fan of this team. And there's been highs and there's been lows. And yesterday was a low, and you've seen highs, including the most ultimate high back in 2017. But disappointing. Look, this season so far has been very disappointing. 5-7, you can't say anything else. It's been just disappointing. Opportunities lost in a lot of ways. Now, again, it's in front of them. They win 4 games in a row, they make the playoffs, and anything can happen. But can they? Can they win a game? Starting next Monday night against the Giants, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But we'll get into that game next weekend, or this weekend, I should say. Thanks for hanging in there with me for 45 plus minutes. For those of you who did, I apologize. I really do want to keep the videos shorter, but I have a lot to get off my chest after games like that. You must excuse me. Disappointing, but I can't say I didn't really see it happening. It's the thing that I was worried about. It's why I told you about that story with the Eagles back in years ago when they won that crazy game against the Giants. Speaking of the Giants in the Meadowlands on the Deshaun Jackson punt return, and then they lose to the hapless Vikings the next week, who weren't playing for anything, and had Joe Webb at quarterback. At home, they lost that game. So I've seen this before, and if they would have won that game, they would have had a first-round bye. I've seen it before. So that's why this stretch, although it was the underbelly of the schedule, now I've seen way too often this team lose against bad teams. And you know what? Sometimes when you lose against a bad team in a critical part of the season, you're a bad team. You're a bad team. And sometimes you just got to call a spade a spade. And look, if they lose to the Giants or to the Redskins, it just furthers the point. They're just a bad team this season, and that's what it is. And I don't know if Nick Foles would have been the difference, to be honest. Not with the way that defense was playing yesterday. So it is what it is. We got to pick ourselves back up. I know it's tough, but it's a home game next. Well, they're all home games the rest of the way. Okay. Like yesterday was more Eagle fans there than Dolphin fans. Not that it mattered, but it was South Beach became South Philly. Shout out to the Eagle fans that were there. And this is why I don't travel a lot with the teams, because you spend a lot of money, and it could be a great game. I had a lot of fun last year. I went with my buddy Mark M to a Flyers Islanders game at Nassau Coliseum, and the Flyers won. But, again, that's a short trip. Taking a trip. Now, Miami's a beautiful place and everything, but still, you go down there, all the money it would take, and then you see your team do that. Yeah. I think the one time, if I could have spent a lot of money, it would have been on Super Bowl 52. Because it would have been, and I loved watching it here, but to have seen that in person, that would have been something special. But it was special nonetheless. But anyhow, that's going to do it for me. Tough one. The Flyers and Sixers showed up this past week, and they and the Sixers tonight again. Hey, they finished 3 out of 4 nights with a game. Another win. They're perfect at home, 10-0. They beat the Utah Jazz. In spite of Mitchell, tonight at the Wells Fargo Center again, 10-0. Playing really well. I know Joel had that game against Toronto where he didn't score. Kind of looked like the Eagles' defense, but they were scored on. Joel couldn't score in Toronto, but it's just one of those anomaly games. It is what it is. Hopefully he'll score this weekend against the Raptors, but when they have the rematch coming up on Sunday night. And the Flyers are playing really well too, and it's good to see. I'm happy with what they're doing. I really like what Alain Vigneault's brought to the team. Just a steady hand. You talk about the mistakes Doug Peterson's making. Look at all the great things that the Flyers coach is doing right now, and how this team is turning it around. I know it's early in the season. They have a lot of young talent, and they still have to grow. But I think it's been great to see how they're playing. They had a big month of November, one of the most points they've scored. I think they tied a record for points in a month in a month of November, or a month, or whatever it was that they tied, finishing off that month. And they play tomorrow night at the Center against Toronto. Hot Stove is out there. I know the Phillies have been linked to some players, so we'll see what happens. I'll be going this Saturday night to the tree lighting at the ballpark. So looking forward to that, and I'll have my holiday decor up this weekend. So the holiday season is officially upon us. I wish the Eagles could have given us a gift yesterday, but it was coal in the stocking. But we'll see. Look, it's not over. It's not over if they can somehow find a way to win some games here and get on a roll. Anything can happen. But a tough one yesterday, definitely a tough one. 37-31, the final again in South Florida at Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium. There, home of the Dolphins. I love the uniforms though. The Dolphins wearing those throwback '70s uniforms. Those are nice. I kind of wish they would wear those as their regular teal uniform, but maybe it was the uniform. You're gonna wear the uniform of the team that went undefeated. Of course, you're gonna win some games. Although that's not the same Dolphins team that went undefeated. God, that sucked. That game was. Let's not have a repeat of that against the Giants, please. Can we please just get back in the winning ways here, Eagles? Can we just get back in the winning ways? And you're all saying, can you just stop this video? It's been 15 minutes. Sorry, everyone. Like I said, tough one. We're gonna pull ourselves together here. Hopefully, it's a better outcome a week from tonight, Monday Night Football against the Giants at home. You win that game. You beat the Redskins the following week. Things are looking a little better going to that big game against Dallas. And, we'll see what happens. Not for nothing. They're not playing that great now either. So it's like the teams don't want to – it's like one team says, I don't want the division. No, I don't want you to take – no, really, you take it. No, have it. I'm in the holiday mood. You take it. So it's the only saving grace is that we're in the NFC East right now. Because if we were in the other divisions, it would be over, right? Anyhow, that's enough for me, finally. So I will see you all as always. Let's go, Birds! It's hard to say it with that much vigor right now, but let's get back in the win column this week from tonight. But I'll be back on the weekend with the Festive Four and a little preview for the Eagles-Giants game. The first meeting of the two teams late in the season, but first meeting this season with a team that we've played pretty good against in recent years. So we'll hope that continues. All right, everyone. Go Sixers, go Flyers, go Birds, Phillies, make some moves, and see you on the next one.